welcome to the Daily Debrief. I'm Aaron Keller. We're going to take you right straight back to court because live testimony is continuing this hour in the Tammy Moorer case out of South Carolina. A friend of the defendant who's facing trial on kidnapping charges just took the witness stand. This might get really interesting. Let's go back into court live.
Drive to New Jersey and then flew to my father's house in Florida on Tuesday.
And when was the last time you talked to her?
1:44 in the morning, December 18th, 2013.
And before you left town, did you and her both always stay at the apartment?
Yes.
Okay. And at that time, did you have a vehicle?
Yes, I did.
And did she have a vehicle?
Yes.
And did y'all both park there at the apartment?
Yes.
Now, so you never really went on any trips before then. Y'all were kind of confined there to the apartment for the most part.
Right.
Okay. And you said you left Monday?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I'm going to show you some phone records. Do you recognize, this is State's Evidence 18. Do you recognize your phone number on these phone records? Do you remember what time she called you?
1:44. Right here. This second one from the top.
Okay. And was that a phone call from her to you?
Yes, it was.
And do you remember about how long y'all talked?
About 2 minutes.
And so she called you at 1:44 a.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
During that time, when you were out of town, was she staying there at the apartment?
Yes, she was.
And was that the first time that you had left town and she was there in the apartment?
Yes.
And was anybody else staying at the apartment?
Objection. Speculation. She just comes down. She can't say it's fake.
I'll rephrase, Judge. Did anybody else live in that apartment but you and her?
No.
Did anybody else have your permission to stay or live there other than her?
No.
And to your knowledge, while you were out of town, was anybody staying in that apartment outside of her?
No.
Anybody else have keys to the apartment or a way in?
Besides the owner.
Now, if I showed you pictures of the apartment, could you tell me if that's how the apartment appeared? If that was indeed your apartment?
Yes.
Judge, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask her to step down so she can look at these along with the jury.
What are you referring to?
It's going to be State Evidence 57 through 78.
All right, she can step down as long as she's given a
And if you don't mind, is this a picture of the front of your apartment?
Yes, it is.
And this is the apartment there that you and her lived in at River Oaks?
Yes, it is.
Now I'm showing you now what's been marked State's Evidence number 60. Where is this in your apartment?
This is when you walk in the front door. It's the first thing you would see.
And is this the way the apartment looked when you left?
Yes.
Okay. Now tell this jury, before you left town, did you clean your apartment up?
We cleaned it up a little bit, yes.
I'm showing you now state's evidence 62. Tell this jury what they're looking at in this picture.
So to the right here is the dishwasher, and that's where the kitchen would go. If you go straight in, that's the living room and the dining room. Where this couch is that you see turned the other way, there's a mirror there, and that's where we would do our hair or our makeup and things like that.
And is that McDonald's bag there when you left?
No, it wasn't. Not that I recall.
Now, did that chair normally sit right there?
We would pull it over, or we would pull over a dining room chair to do our hair in the mirror.
Now, this is 63. Tell the jury what they're looking at here.
This is going to be the kitchen.
And is that how it appeared when you left?
I don't know if there's any addition, but yes.
Y'all use the kitchen a lot?
Yeah, we cooked a lot.
I'm showing you now state's evidence 65.
So this is the dining room table, which, as you can tell, led to become a dresser, as such.
Maybe use this arm, and that way this lady can see.
Sorry. The dining room table, and then this would be the couch that Heather would sleep on. There was a pull-out bed in it, but half the time she just slept on the couch.
And do you recognize those clothes on the kitchen table?
That is Heather's work uniform for the Tilted Kill.
And how about the clothes underneath it? You only recognize the Tilted Kill.
Right, I recognize the coat and then the sweater that's hanging over the back of the chair.
And is that your Tilted Kill uniform or Heather's?
That would be Heather's.
And was it there when you left town? Or the
Yeah.
table?
I don't think so, but that's where she would put it, usually.
Now I'm showing you state's evidence 66. You recognize what I'm showing this jury now?
Thank you.
What is it?
So this is going to be the couch and the coffee table. As you can tell, pillows and blankets from where she spent the night.
And was that McDonald's cut there when you left?
No.
Okay. And how about those Oreos on the floor?
No.
Okay. And that couch looks like it's got a pillow and a blanket. Is that where she would sleep?
That is where she would sleep.
Okay. And did y'all keep it like that all the time, or was it something she brought out at night when it was gone?
She would usually keep it like that. She would sometimes fold the blanket and the pillow and put it on a chair in the dining room, but
And that cord going over the couch, do you know what that cord is?
that's her phone charger, so that she could keep her phone next to her head when she slept.
Okay. And what was Heather's habits with her phone?
Typical female. Never went anywhere without it. It was always next to her.
And how about that phone case on the counter or on this coffee table?
She had just switched it to another pink phone case with like glitter on it.
And she had done that before you left town?
Yes.
And was it her habit to, when she was on that couch, to plug the phone up?
Yes.
Now, I'm showing you state's evidence 68. You recognize that stuff?
Yes, I do.
And whose makeup is that?
That's Heather's makeup. In the corner with her curling iron, it looks like.
And that's where y'all would get ready before you would go out?
Yes, because the mirror was so big.
Now tell me about this room here, state's evidence number 69.
This room is the bedroom that was supposed to be locked. So this is the room that when Heather moved in, we threw all of her stuff because it was too much to fit in the living room.
Okay? But that's not where she slept.
Correct.
And that was not the room that y'all would use on a daily basis.
Correct.
Just almost like a storage place.
Right, it was just to put all of her stuff.
Okay. Now, a lot of her stuff looks like it's in bags in a suitcase. Was it always like that?
It was. When she moved in with me, it came in trash bags, shopping bags, a suitcase, and I think we might have been another suitcase, but that's how she moved in. And then she basically lived out of the suitcase until we were eventually going to figure out a different solution.
So the fact that it's packed up like this is not out of the ordinary?
No, it's not.
And was it like that the entire time she lived with you?
Yes, that's exactly how she always had it. She would root through the bag when she needed something.
You're watching the Daily Debrief as we remain live in the Tammy Moorer case out of South Carolina. This is going to be a critical witness for the prosecution, and indeed it might be the last prosecution witness. This witness was a roommate with the victim, with Heather Elvis, and she's probably going to testify when she gets around to it that Sydney, one of the co-defendants, called Heather Elvis from that payphone that we've heard so much about, and then from there, this witness talked with the victim about Sydney Moorer and the defendant, Tammy Moorer, splitting up, and that Sydney wanted to see the victim. Law and Crime Editor-in-Chief Rachel Stockman along with me here. So, Rachel, this puts, assuming this goes the way we expect, the victim together with the defendant.
Yeah, and also, if you take into consideration what Cindy Moore later told police, contradicts this woman's story. If she does testify to what we think she's going to testify to, which is that she had spoken to Heather Elvis on the night that Heather Elvis disappeared, and that Heather Elvis had indicated that Cindy wanted to get back together, that completely contradicts what Cindy Moore then went on to tell police, claiming that no, he was really trying to get Heather Elvis to basically stop stalking him.
Yeah,
two different stories.
Two different versions of the story here. Which one do we believe? Well, one person wound up missing and one person didn't, who was privy to that conversation. We're going to take a break here at the Law and Crime Network. We will be back with more live testimony from the Tammy Moorer case out of South Carolina when we return here on the Daily Debrief. You're watching the Daily Debrief on the Law and Crime Network, where we continue our live coverage of the Tammy Moorer case out of South Carolina. This is a case where a victim named Heather Elvis disappeared. Prosecutors have no idea where she is, but they think the bottom line is that this defendant and her husband kidnapped the victim. Let's go back into court because a friend of the victims is testifying, and this could be a key witness for the state.
I told her not to do anything rash and to get some sleep, and that we would talk about it in the morning.
And did you reference anybody when you were talking to her?
Objection, Your Honor. Just want to call for hearsay as to what she was told and who she talked about.
She can state what she said.
My exact words were, do not call Cindy back. Don't do anything rash. Go to sleep and we'll talk about it tomorrow.
When is the next time that you heard from her?
I haven't.
And have you been back to the apartment after that night?
Yes.
And when you went back to the apartment, did you get Heather's things together?
We did.
And what, if anything, was missing out of her stuff?
Her favorite outfit.
And what did her favorite outfit consist of?
A black leather jacket with like gray cotton sleeves, red gloves that were like cut off fingertips, black leggings or yoga pants, whatever you want to call them. Her favorite pair of black Vans.
And was anything else missing other than that outfit?
No.
And is that something she would have been wearing in December of 2013?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to show you now State's Evidence 65.
It looks like the feed from court froze up a couple of minutes ago. We're going to work to bring that back to you. This is a courtroom where it seems almost everyone is having trouble pushing a signal. But the bottom line there, that friend of victim Heather Elvis just dropped an important point for the prosecution. That point is that Heather Elvis's favorite outfit was missing, and the key point there was that nothing else was missing. Now, certainly the prosecution is going to take that to turn around and argue during closings that if Heather Elvis had intended to run away or take off, start her life over somewhere else, she would have, at a minimum, taken some of her key possessions along with her. Law&Crime Editor-in-Chief Rachel Stockman here with me. Do you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. If she was planning a long-term trip or to run away with someone like Cindy Moore or whatever, I think she certainly would have packed something. She wouldn't leave with just nothing.
Yeah, the favorite outfit and nothing else. I mean, something else would have gone. I mean, you bring your toothbrush, you bring a couple of other incidentals, you bring your bank book, you bring something else other than just the clothes off your back. I think we can go back to court now. Again, we're carrying the Tammy Moore case out of South Carolina live for you right now. This is a friend of victim Heather Elvis.
I'm going to show you now State's Evidence 65. The clothes under the tilted kilt uniform, do you see those?
Yes, the shirt she was wearing in the picture. And then it looks like the skirt's there too. And a sweater that was next to her lap is hanging on the chair.
So this pattern shirting right thing is what she was wearing earlier in the night.
Right, it was a gray, long, maxi skirt and then the black and white, like, tribal shirt.
That's the outfit that you saw her in that picture.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to show you State's Evidence number 2. When was this picture taken?
I believe they were taken the fall 2013. I missed it because it dyed my hair red, so I don't know.
And was this a picture taken either at work or for work?
Yes, it was. It was for the Tilted Kilt Calendar Girl submissions.
And by December, had she gained weight since this picture?
Since that picture, yes.
Now, you told us a little bit about the relationship between Sydney and Heather. What did you see? Not anything you've heard, but what did you see as far as the relationship between Heather and Tammy Moore?
Between Heather and Tammy? I had never met Tammy. I had never seen her before.
Okay. And how did Heather feel about Tammy or react to Tammy?
She was scared of Tammy.
And was she ever scared of Sydney?
No.
And how did she feel about Sydney?
She loved it. you know, man.
This is going to be some really key testimony for the prosecution here. Indeed, this might be the state's last witness, a friend of victim Heather Elvis on the stand saying, bottom line, there's a husband and wife accused in the disappearance of Heather Elvis. Heather Elvis was in love with the husband. She had been having an affair with him, but she was scared of the wife, who is the defendant in this trial. Law and Crime Editor-in-Chief Rachel Stockman along with me here on the Daily Debrief. So, Rachel, this is what prosecutors need to really seal this up.
Yeah, and I thought it was very interesting there. Heather Elvis's friend was just talking about the fact that she was scared of Tammy, but she still loved Sydney. So even after all of this, they had apparently broken up. She still had feelings for this man, and I think that's a very important point in terms of kind of looking at the bigger picture of what happened here. I mean, the question is, did Sydney have feelings still for Heather Elvis?
Or did Sydney go along with the wife? Because we've heard all this other testimony about the wife taking Sydney's phone, about the wife basically chaining Sydney up to the bed to keep him at home at night, and all this other bizarre stuff.
Well, and the whole nature of this case is the prosecutors are trying to say that Sydney and Tammy conspired together. But as I listen to some of this testimony, I really wonder, could Tammy have been behind the whole thing? And perhaps Sydney didn't even know that much. But that's a hard case to make because there's so much circumstantial evidence, not too much hard evidence.
Yeah, I mean, Sydney was involved in the phone call to Heather Elvis right before Heather disappeared. So look, this case is going to continue along in South Carolina this evening. If you'd like to continue watching the raw feed, it's up on our website, lawandcrime.com. For now, we're going to sign out on the Law and Crime Network and on the Daily Debrief. We will be back with you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. for more live coverage of this case and others around the country. This is Aaron Keller. Have a good evening, everyone.